This is Jordan Hale. If you're hearing this, then you've still got power. That's more than a lot of people can say right now. It's just past 9 p.m. Eastern. You're tuned in to station 1090 AM, or whatever frequency your local relay is using to carry us. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're hearing my voice, it means you're still holding on. And that means you're not alone. We're broadcasting from somewhere safe. I won't say where, not now, not yet, but we're still standing. And as long as we're standing, we'll keep the signal alive. It's been 36 hours since the orders came down. Martial law is now active in every major metropolitan area across the country. That's not a rumor. That's not a theory. That's official. Signed and stamped from what's left of the federal government. Roads are blocked. Bridges are under guard. In some places, city limits have been turned into hard perimeters with checkpoints. Armed patrols. Curfews are not just suggested anymore. They are enforced. If you step outside after dark in a red zone, don't expect to come back the same. If you come back at all. I'm going to say that again for anyone who's just tuning in. The curfews are not a bluff. Quick request before we move on. If you are enjoying this, subscribe to support me in creating more content like this. Now, back to the story. We got our first confirmed case from Chicago late last night. Man stepped out to look for his daughter. Didn't make it a full block before he was arrested by National Guard. The neighbors heard shouting, then silence, then nothing. He's gone. No name released. Just another ghost in the dark. This is happening in real time, and nobody planned for it to go this far. Not like this. So here's what I can offer. Updates, stories from the ground, voices of people like you, still holding on, still trying to make sense of the world that changed overnight. And it did change. I was on air the night the president made the announcement. You remember it? The feed cut out halfway through the broadcast. He got as far as, "This is not a decision we take lightly." Then silence. Static. Nobody's seen him since. Some say he's underground. Some say he never made it to the secure site. Some say it's not even him running things anymore. I don't know what's true, but I know what I've seen. Let me start with the East Coast. Philadelphia is locked down tight. Tanks at every major intersection. Streets patrolled by mixed units. Military, federal, local, all of them armed. A woman called in earlier, said she was holed up with her kids in a basement in Fishtown. Said the whole block's dark now. No streetlights, no cell signal. Just the thump of boots at night and the occasional bark of orders from outside. She whispered the whole time. Her youngest was sleeping. She asked if I thought it was safer to stay put or try and make it to her sister's place in Allentown. I didn't have an answer for her. God help me, I didn't. Further south, Richmond, Norfolk, and Raleigh, same story. Blackouts, mobile checkpoints, and reports, unconfirmed but consistent, of civilian transport being redirected without notice. People being put on buses and not told where they're going. If you're in one of those zones and you see transport trucks or unmarked vans, stay out of sight. That's not paranoia. That's survival. Let me shift to the Midwest. Cleveland, Detroit, St. Louis. Cities where order used to mean something. Now it's like the uniforms blend together. One badge looks like the next. One man with a rifle looks like another. And no one seems to be answering to anyone. It's decentralized chaos. Some of these guys are doing what they think is right. Others? They're just doing what they've been told. And in places where no one's watching, they're doing what they want. I got a voice recording from a man in Kansas City. He's a school janitor. Said the local high school was turned into a holding center. Cots lined up in the gym, Floodlights on 24/7. People processed and questioned, then sorted. His words, not mine. Sorted. He doesn't know where the ones with red wristbands were taken. But he knows they didn't come back. If that doesn't chill your blood, I don't know what will. I want to keep this real. No fear-mongering, no ghost stories. But this is real. The West Coast's a different story altogether. Los Angeles is burning. That's not poetic. It's literal. Fires visible from satellite images. Police scanners gone quiet. No live feeds. No official statements in 12 hours. If you're in the LA basin, don't wait. Get to higher ground. Get to the foothills. Get somewhere defensible. Reports say Pacific Coast Highway's been sealed north of Malibu, but you might still be able to cut through side roads before full lockdown hits. San Francisco? Gridlocked. Last reports had the Bay Bridge closed both ways. Ferry terminals shut down. National Guard in the streets. Drones overhead. Seattle's offline. No pings from any registered stations. If you're hearing this from the Pacific Northwest, reach out. Let me know you're still out there. Now, for those asking about martial law, what does it mean? In plain words, it means the Constitution is suspended. Civil liberties are frozen. Chain of command moves through the Department of Defense. That means no right to assembly, no right to travel freely, and in some zones, no guarantee of a trial if you're detained. I know that's hard to hear, but it's what's happening. And here's what you can do. If you're in a safe zone, reinforce your perimeter. Know who's in your building. Make plans for what happens if someone goes missing. Share what food and water you can, but don't draw attention. Keep your radios on low volume. If you're alone, try not to stay that way. Groups are safer if you can trust them. If you can't, then lock your doors and stay silent. Avoid blue light after dark. Avoid sound. Avoid drones if you can spot them. They're not all ours anymore. I'll have more for you after the break. But before I go quiet for a few minutes, I want to say this. You are still here, and that matters. No matter what orders come down, no matter what flags fly over your city tonight, you are still human, you are still listening, and you are not forgotten. This is Jordan Hale. I'll be back. This is Jordan Hale, back on air. If the signal dipped while I was off, stay tuned. We've had some interference tonight, scrambling we think might be linked to the rerouted military relays, but I can't confirm that. Not yet. While I was gone, I got 3 more voice messages through the emergency line. 1 from Phoenix, 1 from Memphis, and one from a teenager in New Hampshire. I'm going to start with the last one. He didn't leave his name, just said he was 16. Said he'd been staying with his grandma after his school shut down and the buses stopped running. He described how the sirens came first, just past midnight. Then the trucks. He said they moved street by street, lights sweeping the houses. Doors were knocked in. Anyone found outside was cuffed and taken. He whispered through the whole message. Said he's in the crawl space now. Said his grandma didn't wake up. Said he's trying not to cry too loud. I didn't know what to say to that. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just sit here in front of this mic and pray that my voice means something, that it reaches someone like him and helps him hold on just a little longer. So, if you're listening, kid, wherever you are, you're not invisible. We heard you, and you're not forgotten. Now to the rest of you tuning in, let me bring you up to speed on what we know. Officially, the federal order says martial law is in place to restore order and prevent further destabilization. That's the phrase they used. But on the ground, it's not order that people are seeing. It's fear. Fear, fences, and confusion. In Atlanta, whole neighborhoods have been evacuated without notice. People just gone. The roads are blocked. The air is thick with smoke from abandoned cars that burned for hours without a single siren responding. And the airport? Silent. That's not just rare. That's impossible under normal circumstances. A pilot I trust sent me a direct message earlier this evening, one of those old-school private channel relays. He said the airspace above the southeast has been quieted. His word, not mine. No commercial flights, no cargo, just military vectors flying low and fast. He says they're running silent ops, some kind of evacuation or extraction. But no one's being told where to go or what to expect. If you're in the Atlanta metro area, do not approach the airport. Do not try to get to the interstates. They are choke points now, not escape routes. Find alternate paths, old roads, service trails, anything not lit up or locked down. Let's talk about what's happening in the smaller towns. Because while the cities are being sealed off, something else is happening out here. There are reports, growing, steady reports, of supply runs being diverted, local shipments intercepted, small food depots emptied by men in unmarked vehicles. These aren't looters. They're organized, fast, clean. They come in after midnight and leave before sunrise. Sometimes they leave tags, spray paint on the ground, numbers, symbols. I don't know what they mean yet, but they're coordinated. That much is clear. And when I say they, I don't mean your neighbors. I don't mean desperate parents or starving kids. I mean something bigger. Some people say it's shadow units, black site contractors, private forces hired to do what official boots won't. Others say it's just chaos, panic filling the cracks left by failed logistics and broken chain of command. But either way, if you see one of those convoys, do not follow, do not engage, hide and wait. They're not there to help, at least not the way most people need help right now. Shifting north, Cincinnati has imposed a full dusk till dawn lockdown. Armed patrols are now moving door to door in parts of the West End. Anyone without a stamped ID is being detained. Some people say the IDs are being issued selectively, only to residents who comply fully with the new registry system. Facial scans, home inspections, data collection. If you're in Ohio and you haven't yet been registered, stay off the grid. Find safe shelter. If you know someone with access to ham radio, ask them to tune in and tell us what's happening. The fewer blind spots we have, the better our chances of piecing this map back together. Because make no mistake, we are building our own map now. The one being handed down from the top, it's full of blank spaces and vanished streets. It doesn't show the truth anymore. Now, quick update from the West again. I just received confirmation that parts of the I-5 corridor between Sacramento and Redding are being used to move convoys of detainees. That's confirmed, not rumor. We've heard reports of buses escorted by armed vehicles, escorted by drones. No markings on the buses. No answers on where they're going. If anyone from those towns can hear me, Red Bluff, Cottonwood, even down to Chico, send word. Tell us what you see. Any detail, no matter how small. We are building this from scratch, and if they try to silence the airwaves, we will find new ways to speak. One last thing before I take another short break. This one's important. We've had multiple reports of signal jamming. That's not unusual. Not in a military lockdown. But what is unusual is that the jamming isn't uniform. It's being targeted. Certain frequencies, certain bands, especially independent relay stations and shortwave nodes that don't fall under national emergency broadcast infrastructure. You hear what I'm saying? Someone out there doesn't want these local voices getting through. And you know what that tells me? It tells me they're afraid. Not of violence, not of panic, but of truth. They're afraid of people hearing each other. So, here's what we're going to do. We keep talking. We keep relaying. We build our own network, one signal at a time. If you have an old radio, check the backup channels. If you're near a transmitter that still works, use it. If you're a ham operator, widen your band. If you're just a person with a voice, use it. We are not waiting for permission anymore, because they may have declared martial law, but they haven't declared the end of hope. Not yet. This is Jordan Hale. I'll be back in 10. Back on air. Jordan Hale here. If you're just tuning in, this is still Station 1090, or whatever low-frequency local tower is managing to bounce us into your range. I know some of you are picking this up with portable AM rigs, others through old truck stereos, and a few, God bless you, through backup generators hooked to long-range gear. However you're hearing me, I'm glad you are. Still no word from the Denver relay. We've had silence for 5 hours straight. That's unusual. Even during outages or rotation changes, we usually get static or interference pulses. This is just silence. If anyone in or near Denver can confirm a local signal, check in. Send us anything. You can still reach us through the backup relay east of Kansas City. We're holding steady here, for now. Here's what we know from the last cycle. Just after 6 p.m., a mandatory curfew was issued across most of the Great Lakes region. Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, parts of Wisconsin. National Guard is deployed to major intersections, and there are now confirmed reports of home inspections carried out without warrants. Most of these are targeting multifamily residences, apartment blocks, townhomes, anywhere people might be gathering in large numbers. We also got confirmation that in parts of Milwaukee, entire buildings have been vacated and sealed off. Some residents were forced onto trucks. No information was given about where they were being taken. No names recorded, just boarded up and gone. There's a new pattern emerging too. In several areas, internet access is being selectively restricted. Not just outages. It's deeper than that. Platforms are being throttled. Certain phrases are being blocked entirely from text or speech-based posts. A few listeners from Ohio and Pennsylvania mentioned trying to post footage, just raw clips of what's happening on their streets, and watching the uploads stall, then vanish. Then, within minutes, a knock at the door. Let that sink in. Your voice, your eyes, are being erased in real time, and they're not even hiding it anymore. So here's your alternative. Here, United States. This network. These scattered stations and broken up relays and rooftop antennas jerry-rigged with duct tape and wire. This is your broadcast now. And I'm still here. You are still here. And as long as that's true, we are not going quietly. Now, I want to turn to a call we received from Missouri. A woman named Rachel. She didn't want to say where exactly she was, only that it was outside Columbia, close to the river. She said her town hasn't seen any soldiers yet, but they're watching the roads. Drones pass over twice a day, and there's a new sound at night, a low pulse, almost mechanical. Nobody's seen where it's coming from. She said the school gym was converted into a staging area earlier this week. Men in uniforms arrived with clipboards and rolls of wristbands, blue for residents, Yellow for in transit. Red? Well, nobody knows what red means. People with red bands don't seem to stay long. Her voice was steady, calm, but you could hear it right beneath the surface, her fear pressing against every word. Before we ended the call, she said something that stuck with me. She said, "It's not the soldiers that scare me most. It's how normal they act. Like this is just procedure." She's right. There's a kind of coldness to all of this. A quiet, polished rhythm to how it's all unfolding. Like it was always part of the plan. Like they were just waiting for the excuse to flip the switch. And that's what's so hard for people to face. Not the chaos, but the control. Let's move west again. Arizona's starting to go dark. Not from power outages, though those are happening too, but from silence. People who were posting every hour, suddenly off the grid. Neighborhoods where radio checks used to ping back regularly. Now nothing. Tucson was the first to quiet. Then Mesa. Now even parts of Flagstaff aren't reporting. We got a message last night from a trucker named Dom. Said he was part of a convoy trying to haul medical gear to a triage site west of Phoenix. Said they were intercepted. Not by civilians, not by looters, by what he described as a federal ghost unit. No markings, no insignias, just orders. They took the supplies, left the trucks, told them to walk back the way they came. Nobody's heard from Dom since. So listen carefully if you're near there. Stay out of view. Stay away from the main highways. And if you're running supplies, food, medicine, batteries, keep them hidden. Hide your stockpiles. Cover your tracks. We don't know who's still out there with uniforms, but we do know not everyone wearing one is on your side. Now, to everyone in the Northeast, this is harder to report. Because I grew up near here. Boston's under full lockdown. So is Providence. I've spoken to 2 sources on the coast. One firefighter, one city engineer. Both said the same thing. The city's been divided into sectors. You can't cross between them without clearance. And getting that clearance? It's nearly impossible. Docks are patrolled. Ferries are grounded. Anyone caught trying to cross the harbor is detained, or worse. The engineer, guy's name was Mike, said he's seen barricades go up with motion sensors attached, not for intruders, for residents, to make sure nobody tries to leave. And that's the part they're not telling you on the emergency channels, the part that matters most. They're not locking people out. They're locking people in. Ask yourself why. I'll let that sit for a second. All right. Before I switch to more updates, I want to speak to something else I've been hearing. Something coming up more and more in the messages we get. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of fear. People are asking, why now? Why so sudden? Why this kind of response? I can't give you a perfect answer. Nobody can. But I'll tell you what I do know. Crises don't invent power grabs. They just expose how ready some people were to take more than they should have ever had. And once that door is open, once the streets are quiet and the cameras are gone, what you'll see isn't leadership. It's occupation. That's not alarmism. That's the reality people are describing all across the country. So listen to them. Believe what you see with your own eyes and trust your gut. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're awake. And that means something. We're going to take a short break, switch to backup power, and run a battery cycle. But before I go, here's a message to anyone listening from the inner edges of Salt Lake City. You are not forgotten. Hold the line. Watch the skies. And if you can get to the canyon passes by dawn, move fast and move quiet. The roads won't stay open for long. This is Jordan Hale. Still breathing, still on the air. Back soon. This is Jordan Hale, back on the air. If this is your first time hearing me, I'm sorry it had to be like this. But you're here. That matters. That still counts. We're 48 hours into the full national lockdown. Martial law is in effect across all continental states. What that means, what it really means, is different depending on where you are. In some places, it's just a curfew and a few Humvees. In others, it's boots kicking in doors at night and silence on every block. The fear doesn't look the same everywhere, but it's spreading. Let me start tonight with an update out of Texas. Houston is under something I can only describe as a rolling blackout. Different districts go dark in waves, sometimes for minutes, sometimes hours. Not natural outages, not the grid collapsing. These are controlled. Some of the street cameras still feed into open municipal networks, and we've seen the pattern, street by street, block by block, neighborhoods cut off from light, then flooded with armored units. It's not looters they're worried about. That's the story they've been feeding people. Isolated riots, small groups inciting chaos. But the footage we've received says otherwise. I watched one clip a few hours ago, sent in by a nurse working out of a mobile trauma van in southeast Houston. The street's quiet. The lights blink once, then twice, then total blackout. Seconds later, you hear boots, shouts, barked orders. And then, just before the feed cuts, a single phrase yelled by someone off camera. Back against the wall, no questions. That was it. No charges, no due process, just force. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you what's real. Because somewhere out there, someone's still saying this is all temporary. Just a measure. Just a precaution. Tell that to the block that didn't get power back. And it's not just Houston. Austin's gone quiet. Not in a peaceful way, like a snowed-in weekend. No, it's different. The kind of quiet you feel in your chest before something drops. A listener from outside Round Rock reported seeing an entire neighborhood evacuated with no notice. Military trucks, no insignias, no lights. They pulled in around 2 a.m., rolled out by 4. Houses left empty, doors wide open. Nobody knows where they took those people. They didn't even take their cars. So if you're still in Central Texas, especially near the I-35 corridor, be alert. If you see military movement and you're not sure what side they're on, do not approach. Stay hidden. Find alternate shelter. Don't assume help is coming just because someone wears a badge. Speaking of badges, let's talk about what's happening with local law enforcement. We're hearing more and more that city police departments are being folded into military command without warning. Local officers are given new orders, new chains of command, sometimes handed new uniforms. A sheriff from Western Kentucky called me earlier today. Said he was told to deputize a federal unit he'd never seen before. No paperwork, no credentials, just orders. He refused. Said he's now considered non-compliant. Said he doesn't expect to be in office by tomorrow morning. I told him to call back when he can. He said he might not be able to. Now, for those asking about federal shelters, listen closely. We're starting to gather data on where they're placing people. A lot of the major stadiums and old convention centers have been repurposed, converted into what they're calling containment support zones. Not official refugee sites, not hospitals, just holding spaces. We've confirmed this in parts of Detroit, Miami, Salt Lake, and Kansas City. These aren't places you go to for help. These are places you're taken to. And once you're there, you don't leave without clearance. Clearance nobody seems to know how to get. So if you're being told to board a bus without being told where it's going, don't. If someone in uniform says they're relocating civilians for safety, but won't say where, run. Trust your instincts. Trust your eyes. You owe nothing to a system that no longer recognizes your voice. Now, I want to share something a little different. A man named Leo called in from the Nevada desert. Says he and his wife found shelter in a small cabin near the edge of a former tourist site. He didn't say where. Says they've got water, canned food, even solar panels. Says they're okay, for now. But what stuck with me wasn't what he had. It was what he said. He said, "This isn't the end. It's just a change in who gets to decide what the rules are." I sat with that for a while. He's right, isn't he? So much of what's happening now isn't about survival. It's about control. Who has it? Who lost it? Who's pretending to still hold it? And the rest of us? We're caught in between, told to obey, to wait, to be patient while cities fall silent and voices vanish. But we don't have to play that game. We can choose differently. We can speak, even when they want silence. We can connect, even when they try to cut the lines. We can move, even when they try to pin us in place. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm asking you to remember who you are, where you came from, what it means to look a stranger in the eye and see a neighbor. Because that's what they fear most. Not riots, not unrest. Connection, real, human, quiet resistance. The kind that doesn't wear a uniform or carry a flag, just a voice, like yours, like mine. I'll be back after a short cycle, running low on battery, going to swap over to the reserve rig and let the signal cool. But if you're out there, stay low, stay smart, and don't stop listening. This is Jordan Hale, still here, still free. Style, grounded, emotionally human, written in a calm, natural voice. No filler, no artificial phrasing. Jordan Hale here, back on the line, still broadcasting, still breathing. If you're hearing this, it means something's still working. I know it's late, or early, depending on where you are. The clocks don't mean much anymore, do they? People used to ask me how I stayed calm on air. I'd joke that radio taught me to sound steady, even when my hands were shaking. But this is something else. I don't think any of us were meant to feel this kind of stillness, this kind of weight, the kind that creeps under the door and settles in your chest. And yet, here we are. Let's start with what I've got. We've confirmed that Jacksonville, Florida, has been sealed. All 5 main routes into the city are now closed under federal order. That includes I-10, I-95, and every overpass in between. National Guard checkpoints have gone up at all known exits. If you're inside Jacksonville city limits, stay put, not because it's safe, but because trying to leave right now will paint a target on your back. A listener from the Riverside area managed to get a short message through earlier this evening. She described low-flying helicopters circling the outskirts. No lights, no markings. She said they weren't just watching, they were broadcasting. Something low, like a tone, barely audible, more felt than heard. and she wasn't the only one who mentioned that. 3 other people from completely different parts of the country described hearing that same sound. One from near Tulsa, one outside Macon, and one from the base of the Adirondacks, way upstate. Same hum, same time of night. No explanation. If you've heard it too, let me know. If you've felt it in your bones like they did, don't ignore it. Something's happening that we don't have a name for yet. And if we can't name it, we can't stop it. Switching over to Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh's downtown loop is under full military lockdown. Several bridges have been collapsed by controlled demolition. Not damaged, taken down on purpose. Think about that for a second. They didn't just block the exits, they destroyed them. The idea, I'm told, is containment, isolation, preventative risk mitigation, one source said. That's the phrase being passed around in internal memos. I've seen one of them. It's written like a manual, like a checklist. You know what was listed under public response protocols? 3 words: silence, distance, order. No mention of safety, no mention of families, just control. The northern suburbs are reporting food shortages now, not because there's no supply, but because distribution's being halted. We've had at least 4 confirmed cases of supply convoys rerouted mid-transit. 2 of them never arrived. 1 was spotted outside of Erie, moving north, nowhere near its assigned drop. If anyone near Meadville or Connote saw those trucks, reach out. We need eyes. We need details. They can shut down cameras. They can block signals, but they can't erase what you see with your own eyes. Remember that. Now to some of the more rural areas. Montana, parts of Idaho, northern Nevada. There's a strange kind of quiet settling over the West. Less military presence, fewer reports of forced movement. But not because it's over, because they're watching from a distance. It's a waiting game. One farmer outside of Helena described drones circling his fields every other day. Same time, same arc, same pattern. Never landing, never broadcasting, just present, hovering, almost counting. He said it reminded him of when the weather planes used to fly over in the 90s, always watching for signs of storm damage, always too late to stop anything. Only this time, he said, the storm is us. Let that sink in. And for those of you in smaller towns, places where the signals faint and the news takes days to reach you, don't let the silence fool you. This thing isn't passing over. It's just moving slowly. They'll come to you. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but when they do, it won't be with answers. It'll be with orders. So use the time you have now. Talk to your neighbors, check your generators, hide your batteries, learn the land again. Because soon the roads won't be safe. The rail lines will stop. And the maps you grew up with, they won't mean a thing. I got a message from someone in Oregon. Didn't leave a name, just coordinates and a few lines scratched into a page. The handwriting was rushed, but you could still read it. It said, "We saw the trucks. They were full, not of people, of food, pallets, crates. And they weren't going to shelters. They were going west, away from everything. We tried to follow. We got blocked. Road was torched behind us. No warning. They don't want to help us. They just want to keep what's left." That message came through last night. By morning, the relay it came from had gone dark. I don't know what happened to them. I hope they're still alive. And I hope their words reach someone who needs them. Because what they're saying, it matters. It's truth in a world that's running out of it. So wherever you are tonight, if you still have the strength, keep listening. If you've got batteries, ration them. If you've got candles, light one when the power cuts. Just one. No more. Light draws attention, and attention's not always your friend. If you're near water, move away from the shore. If you're near a fence line, don't lean on it. If you're near a base or checkpoint or airport, do not approach. I don't care what the broadcast says. I don't care if it tells you there's safety inside. There's no safety behind concrete and wire. Only quiet, the kind you don't come back from. I'll pause here for a moment. Give the equipment time to cool. We've been running long, and the panel's starting to hum. But I'll say this before I step away. This isn't just a broadcast anymore. It's a record of what's being done, and of what we refuse to forget. They can lock down streets, shut off the grid, send drones and trucks and men with rifles. But they can't erase the airwaves, not while we're still speaking, not while we're still here. This is Jordan Hale, still with you, still free. I'll be back. Back again. Jordan Hale here. If you're still with me, that means you're surviving. And if you're surviving, that means you still matter. Even if the world around you is starting to forget what that means. We're now 2 full days into what they're calling the stabilization directive. You've probably heard it referenced on the emergency broadcasts. Those clipped voices telling you to stay indoors, comply with checkpoint officers, report all group gatherings, and await further instructions. Let me tell you what that really means. It means people are disappearing. It means power lines are being cut on purpose. It means small-town police are being given military-grade gear and told to use it without oversight. It means freedom is being traded for the illusion of safety, and the cost isn't temporary. It's permanent. I got a message an hour ago from a former EMT. She's been working underground, literally, out of a basement in what used to be a daycare center in eastern Iowa. She says they've set up their own triage network using ham radio and shortwave bursts. No names, no records, just coordinates and codes. She says they treat who they can, hide the rest. Says the worst part isn't the injuries, it's the silence. People too scared to cry out, too afraid that the sound of pain will bring something worse than pain. She didn't cry when she told me that, but I nearly did. So for those of you listening in places like Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Sioux Falls, know this: you're not forgotten. They may have shut down your news. They may have turned your streets into checkpoints, but you are still seen. You are still heard. Every voice that reaches us, no matter how faint, gets recorded, repeated, remembered, and they can't scrub that. I want to pivot now to something bigger, something I don't fully understand yet. We've started seeing patterns, not just troop movements, not just lockdown perimeters, but something else, something hidden. Multiple listeners from across the country have reported seeing low-altitude craft, unmarked, silent, fast, hovering just before major blackouts, in New Mexico, in Arkansas, in parts of Maine. Always the same pattern: 30 seconds of high-frequency static on radio bands, then lights out, then silence. And in that silence, nothing. No power, no backup signal, no vehicle ignition. Total shutdown. Now, I'm not saying it's some kind of weapon. I don't traffic in fear for the sake of fear. But I will say this: if you're in a zone where those craft appear, do not try to record. Don't use your phone. Don't try to get closer. Just go dark. Stay quiet. Wait. Whatever's happening in those moments, it's not meant for us to see. Shifting back to the cities. Chicago's inner loop has been fully cordoned off. That's confirmed now. They're calling it a containment hub. Anyone caught outside the zone without biometric clearance is detained. Biometric clearance. That's a phrase I never thought I'd hear outside of spy novels, but it's real. Residents are being scanned at checkpoints, retinas, palms, face maps. Some say it's for safety. But you and I both know what databases do with faces. This isn't about protection. This is about profile and control. A man named Saul called in. Southside. Said he used to work IT for a local college. Said he hacked into a nearby tower node. Don't ask me how. Long enough to see data logs from one of the scanners. Each person that passed through had their info routed somewhere east. No city name. Just a code. Command node, Tier 3. We don't know where that is. But if you're hearing this and you know what that means, reach out. We're piecing this together one thread at a time. Now back to what's real, what's grounded. I spoke to a father from Alabama this morning, Huntsville. He said his daughter had been running a backyard greenhouse with her friends. Nothing big, just tomatoes, herbs, peppers. They shared what they grew with neighbors. Last night, the greenhouse was destroyed, cut through with blades, plastic torn, soil overturned. No looters, no theft, just destruction. When he went outside, he saw tire tracks. Not car, not truck, tank. He said they didn't take anything, just made sure nothing was left. I know what you're thinking. Why destroy a garden? Because gardens mean hope. Because community scares them more than chaos. Because control is easier when people are hungry and afraid. So if you're growing food, hide it. Don't show it off. Don't post about it. Don't leave signs. And if you can, teach someone else how to start their own. Quietly. Carefully. Because we may be on our own for a long time. Now let's talk about the children. We've gotten messages from all over the country. Mothers, aunts, older brothers, asking the same question. How do I explain this to them? How do I tell them why we sleep with the lights off? Why we whisper in the hallways? Why the TV doesn't work and the neighbors are gone? I don't have a perfect answer. But I'll say what I said to a woman in Tennessee last night. Tell them the truth. Tell them people are scared. But we're still here. Tell them they matter more now than ever. And then show them. Show them how to move quietly. How to gather supplies. How to watch for signs of danger. How to protect each other. Because they're not just kids anymore. They're survivors. And one day, when this is over, they'll be the ones who remember who we were in the dark. Give them something worth remembering. We'll take a short pause soon. System maintenance. But before I do, if you're in Spokane, listen carefully. 2 listeners from the same part of town reported convoys pulling into an abandoned strip mall late last night. Trucks, uniforms, lights left running. No one got out. No orders were given. They just parked. Then, around 2:30 a.m., a loud mechanical hum. Then the trucks left. Fast. No headlights. Same direction. Northwest. Toward the forests. Nobody knows what they dropped off. Or who they were picking up. But that pattern is becoming familiar. They show up. They wait. They leave. And something's different afterward. We're tracking those movements. So if you see something like that, let us know. Log the time, Log the direction. Draw it if you have to, because this isn't just one city, one night, one plan. It's national, coordinated, and it's not over. I'm going to pause here, let the relay cool, check for signal drift, and take a sip of the last decent cup of coffee I've got. But I'll leave you with this. They've taken our streets, our power, our sense of normal, but they haven't taken our story. Not yet. We write it together, with every message, every call, every whispered name sent over a cracked frequency. We are still here, and I'm still listening. This is Jordan Hale. Back soon. Jordan Hale, on the line again. Thanks for holding steady with me through the static. The backup rig's humming hot tonight. We're pushing it past what it was ever designed for, but so far, it's holding. So are you. I know some of you are out there in silence. No lights, no heating, no neighbors. Just you, the dark, and a voice on the radio. That's what this is now. Not just information, not just updates. Connection. Let me start this cycle with something out of South Dakota. A retired firefighter, named Henry, called in from just outside Rapid City. He says the town's still mostly intact, but something changed 2 nights ago. Patrols started moving slower, less noise, no flashing lights, almost like they didn't want to be seen anymore. Then, yesterday morning, 3 helicopters landed on the high school's baseball field. No announcement, no markings, and no one got out. They sat there, blades idle, for maybe 5 minutes. Then they left. No one knows why they came. But that night, the street cams went down. All of them. Traffic lights stopped cycling. School signs stopped flashing. And early this morning, a neighbor found the entire city server box ripped out of the local utility grid. Not hacked, removed, manual. On purpose. And Henry said something I keep thinking about. He said, "It's like they want us invisible." That stuck with me. Because maybe he's right. Maybe this isn't just about control. Maybe it's about erasure, and that makes our voices all the more important. So keep them coming. If you're near a town where everything suddenly stopped working, no traffic flow, no sirens, no digital pulse, tell us. We need to map this silence. Piece by piece. Let's head back west. Los Angeles. The few signals still getting out say the city is gone. Not in a bombed-out sense. No fires on every block, no explosions in the sky, but in a deeper way. Disconnected. Someone called it a soft blackout. Streets still exist. Buildings still stand. But people aren't answering anymore. No phone lines, no emergency services, no mail. Just an echo of what used to be a city. We had a relay operator send a shortwave burst from the hills north of Pasadena. All he said was, they walled in Beverly. Walled in. That's the 3rd report now of physical barriers being constructed inside city limits. Not around the whole city, but around sections. Slices. Like someone's drawing lines between who stays, who goes, and who never gets seen again. We don't know who's inside those zones. But if you do, if you're close, watch, then move. Quietly. Now back east. North Carolina has gone quiet. Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro. We used to get check-ins every night from those towns. Sometimes kids on shortwave, sometimes older voices bouncing through aging ham rigs. But not since last night. Last recorded signal came in at 3:14 a.m. from just outside Carrboro. A woman said there was movement in the woods. Not people, not machines, lights. Pulsing. White, then red, faint, like a heartbeat through mist. She said they stopped outside her fence, stayed there for 2 hours, then left. She hasn't sent another message since. No name, just coordinates and silence. And maybe that's what this all is. A long, slow turning of everything into silence. But not here. Not yet. Because I'm still here. You're still here. And that's enough. Let me give you a few practical updates before I go too long. If you're in a zone where food drops have stopped, listen closely. We've confirmed from multiple sources that supply shipments are still moving, just not to public shelters. They're being stored in what are being called reserve hubs, old warehouses, abandoned shopping centers, places they think no one will look. If you're trying to find food for your family, avoid the marked stations. Those are bait now, loud, visible, and often guarded by men who aren't interested in sharing. Instead, watch the service roads, the access lanes, look for repeat tire tracks, marks where crates have been dragged and left. I know it sounds like a hunt. That's because it is. But it's one we can still win, as long as we keep sharing what we see. If you find a hidden supply site, don't just take. Leave a mark, chalk, stones, tied cloth, whatever you've got. Something others can follow. We're learning to live without permission now, and that means rebuilding trust in ways they never planned for. Moving upstate now. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. No lockdown orders were officially issued for those states. Not yet, but something's changing fast. Several of our listeners there report increasing drone presence. Not surveillance drones. Not the kind you can swat down or hear buzzing a mile off. These are quieter, closer to the ground, sleeker, and they don't patrol. They search. They pause over windows. They hover near chimney stacks. They look for life. So if you're up north, listen carefully. Block your heat signatures. Cover your windows. Avoid roof movement during daylight hours. And if you see one of those drones, do not shine a light at it. Don't wave. Don't fire. Hide. Live to send another signal. Back in the Midwest, we've got some rare good news. A small township outside Duluth has managed to keep its grid online. No help from the feds. No military patrols allowed inside. They locked the roads themselves, used farm equipment to block the highways, burned out an overpass to stop vehicle access. They've created a safe pocket. They're not asking for attention. They're asking for space. So if you're in that part of Minnesota and you're looking for refuge, don't go barreling toward them. Send signal. Follow the markings. Listen to what they ask. Trust is rare right now, and it matters more than ever. We've lost a lot in the last few days. Comfort, routine, truth. But we haven't lost each other. Not fully. And as long as I'm speaking into this mic, as long as the tower still stands, as long as someone, anyone, is tuning in on the other end, we haven't lost everything. I'll be back in a few. The night's long, the road ahead's longer, but you're still walking it, and I'm still with you. This is Jordan Hale. Stay ready, stay human, stay awake. Still here, still Jordan Hale, still broadcasting from somewhere I won't name. Not because I don't trust you, but because I don't trust who else might be listening. That's what this has become now. A quiet game of endurance. Keep speaking. Keep surviving. Keep slipping between the cracks wide enough for the truth to pass through. And that's what this next part is about. The truth that isn't in the broadcasts. The part they hope you're too tired, too scared, or too cut off to notice. Let's talk about what's happening around the Mississippi River. The river's not a border, not in the political sense, but over the last 24 hours, it's started behaving like one. Multiple listeners from both the East and West Banks have described checkpoints going up along bridges, causeways, even rural ferry crossings that haven't been used in years. And they're not just looking for weapons. They're scanning people. Infrared, heart rate monitors. One man from a riverside town outside Cape Girardeau said he was asked to remove his shirt, stand in place while a machine ran from head to toe, then told to turn back without explanation. Another couple, from just west of Memphis, told us their child was separated from them at the checkpoint. Not forcibly, not with shouting, just quietly. One officer knelt down, said there was a health concern, and walked the child behind a black partition. The parents weren't allowed to follow. That was 2 days ago. They haven't seen their daughter since. If you think that sounds like something from another country, you're not wrong. But you're also not awake yet if you think it can't happen here. Because it is. Now, in case you're trying to reach someone across the Mississippi, don't take the main bridges, especially the ones near Baton Rouge, Vicksburg, or Davenport. They're not just checkpoints, they're choke points. Take side roads. Use small craft if you have to. One-person kayaks, wooden boats. Avoid motors. Avoid speed. The slower you move, the less likely they'll track you. You're not running from something illegal. You're running towards something human. Don't forget that. Now, I want to share a story I've been sitting on. A listener from upstate New York, he's asked to stay unnamed, sent us something remarkable. He says there's an abandoned ski lodge about 40 minutes from Lake Placid. For years it's been nothing but broken windows and moss-covered decks. But in the last 5 days, it's become something else. He calls it the Ridge. There's no sign on the road, no signal tower, just a pair of handmade markers carved into tree trunks, a triangle above a line. People follow those signs into the woods, and some don't come back. But not because something happened to them, because they stayed. He says the ridge is running on firewood and solar, says they've got 3 generators, only used at night, says they take in anyone, no questions, unless they come in uniform or try to record. And here's what struck me most. They don't want to be saved. They're not waiting for the lockdown to end. They're building something to outlast it. I don't know how long they'll hold. But if you're nearby and you've run out of options, look for the triangle above the line. And if you find them, tell them Jordan Hale says thank you. We need those pockets, little places that remind us not everyone gave up. Now for something else. You've probably noticed the official broadcasts are starting to sound flatter, less human, more clipped, more phrases repeated over and over like a loop. We thought maybe it was just bad recordings, compressed audio. But one of our tech-savvy listeners, Nadia from New Orleans, sent something we couldn't ignore. She analyzed a dozen regional broadcasts from the last 2 days. Same vocal pattern, same frequency peaks, same intonation, same voice. But it's not the same speaker. She says it's generated, not read by a person, built, constructed from a voice model, fed lines, blended for tone. In other words, we're not hearing real people anymore. We're hearing software. Now think about what that means. No accountability, No emotion. No real-time presence. Just a polished loop telling you where to go, when to stay home, when to stay silent. And behind that voice, no face. So the next time your radio tells you help is on the way, ask yourself, who's saying it? And why do they need a machine to say it for them? I'll keep this next part short because the backup inverter's starting to click. If you're traveling at night, keep these in mind. Don't use main roads unless you absolutely have to. Stay off concrete paths with embedded reflectors. Those are being used to track movement via drone infrared. If you must cross open ground, do it barefoot. Shoes leave thermal prints. Tie cloth over flashlights. Red light if possible. Lower wavelength. Less visible from the sky. If you see any vehicles stopped at an intersection with lights off, detour. That's a trap checkpoint. And remember, you're not alone. You may feel like it, but you're not. Earlier today, I received a low-signal voice message. Just a kid, maybe 12, maybe 13, said she and her brother had been walking the edge of the state forest, avoiding roads, eating from cans, sleeping in culverts. She ended the message with 4 words, I'll never forget. We're still good people. She didn't say where she was. She didn't have to. Because that sentence, that's the signal. That's what we're holding on to. If nothing else, remember that. You are not the chaos. You are not the walls. You are not the broadcast voice telling you to comply. You are what comes next. You are the part that survives. I'll sign off for now. Let the board rest. Burn the dust off the amp coils. But I'll be back. And so will you. This is Jordan Hale. Clear skies or not, I'm still transmitting. You should too. You're still with me. That's something. This is Jordan Hale, and this frequency, this quiet little pocket in the noise, is still alive. Sometimes that's the best we get, just knowing there's someone else out there. A heartbeat on the wire, a breath behind the static. We're now heading into day 3 since full martial law was declared. Some parts of the country are adapting, others falling apart. There's no sugarcoating this. Things are shifting faster than people can process. Let's start in Colorado. Denver's city grid is still up, at least technically, but it's being filtered. That's the word people keep using. Filtered. Some calls make it through. Others vanish mid-ring. Text messages delay by hours. Entire blocks of social media go dark even while power stays on. And all traffic in and out of the city? Cut. A nurse from Arvada said they received a full truckload of supplies yesterday. Diapers, dried goods, blankets. But then 2 men showed up an hour later with a paper in hand. Not a warrant. Not a request. Just a statement that the supplies were now designated for redistribution. They took everything. The nurse asked where it was going. She says they didn't even look at her when they answered. Somewhere more secure. That's what they said. More secure than a pediatric ward. And this is the pattern, isn't it? Take from the places that built something stable. Feed the machine. Starve the people. The next update comes from someone who didn't leave a name, just coordinates burned into an old map. Northern Wisconsin, cold country, timber roads and ice-thick lakes. He said his family had been on the move for days, avoiding main roads, camping in a hollowed-out barn. Then one night, they saw movement near the tree line. They thought it was another family. Waved. Flashed a small light. The figure didn't wave back. Instead, it turned, raised one hand, and a drone dropped out of the sky behind them. He said it didn't fire, didn't chase, just hovered. Then rose again and vanished. He hasn't used a flashlight since. If you're near those regions, anywhere north of Wausau, don't signal with light. Don't walk the tree lines. And whatever you do, don't assume a human shape means safety anymore. Now to a story out of New Jersey. Trenton's lockdown is now full scale. Roadblocks, active surveillance. Every apartment complex with more than 10 units has been flagged for rotational inspection. That's the phrase used. Rotational inspection. As if people are just parts on a machine that need to be checked for function. A woman named Colleen told me she watched her neighbor's building get emptied floor by floor. One person escorted every 90 seconds. No speaking, no questions, no return. She said she tried to record it, but her camera froze. Screen locked. Then the battery, fully charged, died instantly. She waited 2 hours, then climbed to the roof to look across the city. The building was gone. No fire, no collapse, no signs of demolition. Just gone. I don't know how to explain that, but I believe her, because the truth is, we don't know what kind of power is being used right now. We don't know what's been built in secret, what tech is being tested under the cover of stabilization. But we do know this. They're moving fast, faster than bureaucracy, faster than public oversight, faster than the stories can catch up. And that's why you're here. Because we do catch up. We listen. We pass it on. We stitch the truth together from the shreds they missed. And right now, that truth is all we have. Here's something from the coast. Oregon, south of Eugene. A long-haul driver pulled into what used to be a rest stop. Said he saw a line of people, 20, maybe 30, just standing. No bags, no shoes, just standing, facing a freight container parked in the lot. No one moved. No one spoke. The container door was slightly ajar, just wide enough to see a screen glowing inside. He didn't get closer. He backed out and drove straight through the next town without stopping. That's the third report of containers like that. Moved into quiet places, left with power running. No markings, no guards, just presence. And I'll say it again. If you see anything that doesn't feel right, trust your gut. You're not being paranoid. You're being alive. Let's shift to something you can do. If you're still in an area with power, start planning now. Don't wait for the outages. Don't wait for the checkpoints. Stock water. Hidden if you can. Places even you don't check daily. Use blackout curtains. Or make some with garbage bags and duct tape. Learn your routes. Not the fast ones. The quiet ones. The ones without cameras. Without signs. Without memories. And keep one bag ready. Not full of comfort, full of time. Because that's what a good pack buys you. Time to get away. Time to think. Time to breathe without someone telling you when you can. And if you have an old radio, even if it crackles, even if it buzzes, tune it every night. Check the sidebands. Listen for patterns. We are not the only ones transmitting. There's something forming out there. Something real. And when the time comes, you're going to need to hear where to go. I'll wrap this cycle with something a listener said to me last night. She was from Tulsa. Said she'd lost her husband 2 months ago. Not to violence, to cancer. Quiet, expected, unavoidable. She said she still sleeps on one side of the bed, still sets out 2 mugs in the morning, still leaves space for him in the silence. And then she said, "I'm not holding on for rescue. I'm holding on because it's what he'd do for me." That's the kind of strength they can't break. That's why you're still here. And that's why I'm still speaking. This is Jordan Hale. We're not done yet. It's still night here. Might be morning where you are. Time's slippery now. No clocks on the wall, no glow from phones. Just the hum of the relay and the slow tick of my old wind-up watch. Keeps me tethered, even if the hour doesn't really matter anymore. Jordan Hale here. And this is still real. You're still listening. And that makes this matter. Let's go to Georgia. We've confirmed reports that the city of Macon has been fully evacuated. Not voluntary, not slow, sudden. A caller from outside Warner Robins said the highway into Macon was jammed at sunrise, but no horns, no shouting, just cars at a standstill, some with doors left open, keys still in the ignition. He walked a half-mile before he saw anyone. National Guard, positioned on the overpass, not directing traffic, not helping, just standing. He said they didn't move, didn't speak, just watched. He turned around and walked back the way he came. Smart man. Because the next person who tried to cross, according to what we've heard, never came back. There's a silence around these city centers now, a deliberate one. The kind of hush that isn't just about power outages or curfews. It's about severance. Sever the voice, sever the view, sever the witness. Let's talk about Baton Rouge. We had a shortwave message come in early this morning from someone holed up near the University District. They've been tracking movement through the back alleys. Said military units were moving in tight formations. Not random patrols. Structured, timed, measured, like they weren't just searching, like they were clearing. Every fourth building, every corner, every shadowed lot. The caller said they could hear footfall patterns. Counted them. 8 steps. Pause. Sweep. 8 steps. Pause. Sweep. And when they reached the end of the block, they stopped, stood still. 10 minutes, then moved on. No one knows what they were waiting for. But here's the part that chilled me. They weren't looking at the buildings. They were looking at the rooftops. That's new. So if you're anywhere near a cleared zone, rooftops are no longer safe. I know that's where many of you go to avoid patrols, for air, for signal, for solitude. But they know that now. If you go up, you better not stay up. And if you see them standing still, don't watch. Leave. Let them be the ones left wondering. Shifting focus for a minute. We've received a confirmed ping from the Florida Keys. Yes, that far south. A relay boat operating on solar finally re-established contact from somewhere near Marathon. They've been silent since the lockdown because they lost satellite bounce. But now they're broadcasting again. They say the bridges are cut. The 7-mile bridge is gone. Blown. The structure itself is still there, but the middle segment is missing. They say it's not erosion, not storm damage. Controlled, intentional. The Keys are cut off from the mainland. Why? We don't know. But it doesn't take much imagination to figure out that someone wanted to create a zone that couldn't be reached by sea or land. They also mentioned low-flying air traffic, not commercial, not known military. 3 aircraft flying under cloud cover with no lights, no transponders, moving fast, too fast for visuals. One disappeared into the Gulf. The relay operator said they don't plan to stay. They're moving west by boat. Small, slow, under canvas. Smart. Quiet is the new currency now. Now to something we haven't touched on in a while. Hospitals. They're still out there. Sort of. Some still operating, some taken over. But if you're near a major facility and you're injured, don't go unless you know someone inside. We've had more than 24 messages in the last 48 hours reporting that hospitals are being used as temporary processing centers. People go in for help and don't come out through the front door. A nurse from Kansas, name withheld for safety, told us that patients are being separated at triage. Minor injuries are treated, logged, and released. Major injuries? No one knows. She said there's a pattern. Anyone unconscious gets tagged, and after that, they're moved off-site. Where? She doesn't know. She tried asking. She was told not to return the next shift. She's been hiding ever since. So what can you do? Field triage if you can. There are old guides, military, survival, even Boy Scout manuals. If you can download one before your access cuts, do it. Print it. Learn the basics. Stop bleeding. Clean wounds. Prevent shock. You're not just surviving now. You're the medic. You're the responder. You're the one writing the instructions as you follow them. I know it's heavy, but you're not alone in it. One more update before the next maintenance cycle. Montana. Big sky country. We don't get many transmissions from there. Low population, wide land. But someone from a rewilded hunting cabin in Gallatin County sent a signal. Simple. Brief. 2 sentences. They came at dusk. They left before dark. That's all. But think about that. Who enters at dusk and leaves before it gets truly dark? Why? What's out there that they didn't want to face? We don't have the answer, but we've got the message. And that's something. I'll sign off for a few minutes. Let the power bank recycle. But I'll be back. If you're listening, send what you can. Your words matter more now than ever. This is Jordan Hale. Keep breathing. Keep watching. Keep passing it on. Jordan Hale here. If this is your first time catching the signal, know that this isn't the official feed. No sirens, no instructions, no looping voices. Just one voice. Still real. Still here. We're past the 72-hour mark now. That's when things start to settle. Not because the world's fixed itself, but because people either find a way or they don't. So if you're hearing me tonight, I already know which kind of person you are. You're still here, still adapting, still aware. I want to start with something we don't always talk about. Sleep. It's been coming up in more and more of your messages. People saying they can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep. That they wake up every hour thinking they heard something. A bang, a step, a knock. Even when there's nothing, you're not alone. And no, you're not losing your grip. Your body's adjusting. It's reading danger in the quiet. That's a survival response, not a malfunction. But you still need rest. So here's what's working for some. Rotate watch if you're in a group. Even if it's just 2 of you. Let someone else carry the silence for a while. If you're alone, set a timer on something mechanical. A wind-up, a burner, even a candle in a tin with a nail that drops. White noise works. Rain recorded on an old phone. Wind through trees. Static hum. Something familiar that doesn't feel threatening. And if you can only sleep in small stretches, that's fine. Stack enough of those stretches and your mind will start to repair itself. Don't fight the way your body's trying to protect you. Now, news from the Carolinas. Charlotte is gone from the grid. That's confirmed. Not partially, fully. Water, power, cellular, transit, all dark. One of our relay contacts said there's a kind of perimeter being formed, not with fencing, with light. Towers mounted with flood lamps, facing inward. It's not to keep people out. It's to keep people in. Let that land. A city surrounded by lights, turned inward. Now the official story is containment for public health. But we know better than that now, don't we? We've learned the difference between protection and imprisonment. We've learned what happens when no one's allowed to look in and no one's allowed to walk out. So if you're near Charlotte, stay back. And if you're inside, wait for cloud cover, wait for a window, then move. North of the city, up past Lake Norman, there are still corridors open through the tree lines. Don't use the roads. Use the ridge lines. Move low. Use the sound of the trees to cover your steps. Now down south. Someone in Mississippi sent us a series of notes, handwritten, scanned, and relayed over a weak data uplink. They found an old hotel, 3 stories, stone frame, red clay parking lot overgrown with moss. It hadn't been touched in years. No power, no running water. But it's full now, 15 people. Maybe more by the time you hear this. They cleared the lobby, boarded the windows, made beds out of what they had. Old seat cushions, carpet padding, duct-tape tarps. And they set rules. No lights after dark. No raised voices. One lookout at a time. No one eats alone. No one sleeps alone. That last one hit me, because that's how you rebuild a rhythm. You stop pretending that toughness means isolation. You stop acting like survival's a solo act. You build routines. You make eye contact. You hold each other accountable. That group in Mississippi, they're not waiting for a broadcast to tell them what to do. They're already doing it. Now, something strange from Nevada. We had a call come in from a man outside Fallon. Said he was hiking old cattle routes, trying to avoid surveillance. Stumbled across a building that shouldn't have been there. Middle of nowhere. Black walls, steel doors, no windows. He said it wasn't marked on any map, not even old topographic charts. He's been a land surveyor for years. He knows the land out there. This thing wasn't on satellite 5 months ago. No vehicles, no fences, just standing there. Silent, waiting. He tried to get close. 30 feet away, his skin started tingling, buzzing, like static. Every hair on his arm rose. He left. Good choice. If you see something that doesn't belong, turn around. There's a reason you weren't told it was there. Final update before I switch to manual power. A small group from southern Illinois sent a message in Morse. Took us a few tries to decode it. Signal was faint, and the punctuation was shaky. But we got it. It said, "We are the ones who remember. We have the maps. We have the names. We have not stopped." They didn't say who they were. They didn't have to. Sometimes that's all you need to know. That someone, somewhere, is keeping the memory of what this place used to be. Keeping track of who disappeared. Keeping track of where the lights went out. keeping track of the names they hope to one day speak out loud again. We're not just fighting for the present. We're keeping the receipts for the past, and we're planting something for the future. That's what this is. It's not just survival, it's record. It's resistance through memory. So if you can write, write. If you can record, record. If all you can do is speak into an old cassette, do that. Because when this ends, someone will need to remember, and we will be the ones to hand them the truth. This is Jordan Hale, still with you, still on the wire, still alive, still transmitting, still holding the line. Jordan Hale, if you're just tuning in, and if you're hearing this on delay, that's all right. The important thing is that the signal made it. We've had more confirmed disappearances from Oklahoma City. The lockdown there didn't happen all at once. It crept in. First, fuel restrictions, then food rations, then a complete blackout on outbound traffic. Now, they've stopped updating the emergency feed. The last public alert was 3 nights ago. No further advisories, just static and a single blinking banner on the city site. Civil compliance is patriotism. That's not a warning. That's not information. That's branding. A school teacher from Edmond told us the southern districts are being cleared street by street. People are told to pack light. No vehicles, no pets, 1 bag. She said you can hear the trucks a few blocks away, but you don't hear them for long. She stayed behind, crawled through a drainage easement into an old utility access point, has a battery bank and a solar blanket. She's been writing names on the wall in permanent marker, names of the people who haven't come back. She says if she doesn't make it out, someone needs to know who lived there, who they took, who didn't get a number. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read 5 of those names out loud, because someone should. Mallory Quist, 32. Tariq Simmons, 45. David Nance, 10. Rosa Martinez, 68. Willa Price, 21. If you're related to them, if you knew them, this is their record. This is their breath, carried into the world one more time. They will not be numbers. They will not be lost in the blackout. We carry them, now, moving north. St. Louis is still on, but barely. The Gateway Arch area has been completely sealed off. 2 independent sources told us that what was once a public plaza is now surrounded by blast walls. The arch is lit up at night, brighter than usual, flooded with white light. Drones hover near the top. Nobody knows why. A man from Forest Park says the city's been divided into sectors marked only by drone tones. Low, pulsing sounds that increase in pitch when you cross a certain street. No signs, no fences, just sound. If you're in St. Louis and you hear a rising pitch when you walk, turn around. Don't test the border. We think those tones are synced to something else, something not human-operated. We're still trying to confirm. One more message from there. A teenage girl, hiding in the basement of a locked-down school, said she and 3 friends found an old vending machine that still worked. They rationed Skittles and jerky strips for 2 days. Didn't fight, didn't panic. Her words. We didn't cry. We made a game out of it, because the world might be ending, but we're still kids, and kids make games. That's how we live. She ended the message by saying they'd try to move west tonight. If you're hearing this, wherever you are, good luck. You've got more courage than most. Now, to something practical. Let's talk about false broadcasts. We're seeing an increase in automated signals mimicking independent relays. The voices sound like mine. The background noise sounds like this. But they're not real. How to spot them. Messages repeat every 15 minutes exactly. No variation in volume or mic tone. No personal detail. Just instructions. No names. Never names. They'll tell you to relocate. They'll tell you to report for processing. They'll tell you shelter is waiting just a few miles away. Don't trust anything that sounds too clean. We're messy. We're tired. We cough. We pause. We breathe too hard. If the voice you're hearing doesn't sound worn down, it's not real. Now, across the border, news from Canada. Yes, we're getting pings from the north. A group of amateur relays from Ontario patched through a joint signal earlier today. It was grainy, full of interference. But one thing came through clearly. They're closing the border from their side. They're not letting anyone cross into Canada. Not legally, not unofficially. The shutdown is mutual now. The world's walls are going up fast, and none of them are built to protect you. They're built to contain the damage. And we, you and me, we're considered part of that damage. That means movement gets harder every hour. That means every small success, every town that resists, every family that disappears and shows up 2 towns over alive is a miracle. And right now, miracles are what we pass like torches in the dark. I'll leave you with this before I let the relay cool. Earlier tonight, I got a message from someone in Kansas, out near the plains. He said the sky was clear for the first time in weeks. Said he stepped outside with his son and looked up. The stars were visible, really visible. They didn't say anything, just watched. He ended the message by saying, "Whatever comes next, I want my kid to know this sky. This one, before they try to take even that away. Hold on to whatever you have that still feels yours. The sound of someone breathing beside you. The taste of something warm. The rustle of trees when the wind picks up. The sky, if you're lucky enough to see it. Because while they're busy rewriting the world, we still get to decide what parts we keep." This is Jordan Hale, holding the frequency, holding the line. Still with you. It's Jordan, still on air, still breathing. I've rerouted the backup relay through the auxiliary coil. It's not pretty, more of a buzz than a hum tonight. But if the voice is getting through, the signal is working. And the voice, like always, is what matters. You, me, the ones listening, the ones refusing to let silence win. Let's get to it. News from Phoenix is rough. The heat's not the only thing killing batteries now. Something's interfering with unshielded electronics across the valley. Reports of radios frying, phones going dark even on full charge. No warning, no heat burst, just dead. One man said his generator died mid-cycle, inverter intact, fuel full. Same day, his street lost power. Grid was supposedly active. That's not coincidence. That's control. Another woman, east side of Tempe, said her dog started barking at a transformer tower. Nothing visible, just sparks, then smoke. The street behind her, about 12 homes, was silent by morning. Doors open, lights off. She hasn't seen her neighbors since. That's the kind of fear that moves in quietly. Not the kind that breaks windows. The kind that leaves you too stunned to ask who knocked. If you're in Maricopa County, assume every electronic you depend on is a target. Get analog, get insulated, get low-tech. Anything with a screen is a liability now. Let's move northwest for a second. Utah. A small town near Bryce Canyon has sealed itself, completely. Locals blocked the canyon roads with debris, fused tires, trees dropped intentionally. We got a ping from a teenager out there. Said they held a vote. An actual vote. They decided no one goes in unless they're known, unless they're vouched for. No uniformed presence. No digital access. Just firewood, homegrown food, and quiet agreements. I told them, hold fast, keep the signal soft, burn red light only, let the rest of the world scream. You just live. We need more like them. Let's jump up to the northeast now. New Hampshire's White Mountains used to be a weekend escape. Now they're being used as cover. 2 different listeners, both former hikers, report spotting new shelters in the high valleys, tarped bunkers, dugouts disguised with brush. One of them had smoke rising, real, faint chimney smoke. No military tags, no signs of panic. Whoever's up there knows what they're doing. So if you're nearby and you're alone, try to find those ridgelines. Follow the colder trails. Look for notches in the rock with 3 stones stacked beside the path. That's a known signal in some old ranger circles, a kind of unspoken, we're here and we're human. But be smart. Don't approach at night. Don't bring a light. And don't shout. You wouldn't want strangers stumbling into your quiet either. Now, a difficult report. We've had another confirmed shutdown of a university campus, this time in Missouri. Columbia, Mizzou. Students were told to shelter in place 3 days ago. No outbound transit. Then yesterday, the signal cut. A maintenance worker managed to get one last message out over shortband. They're moving room by room, asking for enrollment numbers, not names, numbers. What kind of system asks for numbers over names? You already know the answer. It's one that's not interested in people, just in units, in records, in control. We don't know what's happening inside those buildings now, but we're watching. And if you're inside, listening from a hidden radio or an old rig in a closet, know this: you are not forgotten. I want to remind everyone of something simple. You don't have to be brave all the time. You don't have to lead, or fight, or speak. Sometimes surviving is just not giving up the last thing that's yours: your story, your voice, your truth. I got a message from a man in northern Idaho, mountain country, forest dense. He said he's been alone for 10 days. Just him, a stream, a tarp, and an old ham rig powered by crank. He sends one word every morning. Still, that's all. And that word is enough. Still alive, still here, still listening. That's a message no machine can replace. So if you've got a rig, even if it's weak, send something. One word, one tone. Even a heartbeat's worth of static. Let the world know you're not gone. Before I sign off this hour, I want to share something I heard from a family outside Toledo. They've set up their garage as a neighborhood hub. No big announcements, just a table, a chair, a board with pins and string. People leave notes, drop off batteries, swap blankets. No money, no names, just trust. They call it the net, not the internet, not the network, just the net. Because that's what it is. A catch for anyone who's falling. We could all use one of those. So build yours. Start small. A post-it, a candle in the window, a knock on a neighbor's door. You don't have to save the world. Just give someone a soft place to land. This is Jordan Hale. You're doing more than you know, and you're not alone. Jordan here. Another hour, another cycle. If your battery's holding up, I'm still with you. If you're hearing this after a delay, days, maybe weeks, it doesn't matter. The truth waits. The truth holds. And right now, the truth is all we've got left. Let's start with something strange coming out of Northern California. 2 separate transmissions, one from Redding, another from a logging camp near Weaverville, describe the same exact thing. A train, not a commuter, not freight. A long, matte black engine pulling a string of unmarked boxcars through the forest at night. No horn, no lights, no schedule. No one claims to have seen it during the day. The man near Weaverville said it passed his camp at exactly 2:14 a.m. He didn't hear it. He felt it. He said the ground shook before he heard a sound. And then, just as quickly, it was gone. I don't know what that means. I don't know who's running that train or why. But here's what I do know. Trains don't run without rails, and rails don't move themselves. That means someone is out there, keeping part of the system alive for reasons they won't explain. If you're near those northern corridors, Shasta, Eureka, the Siskiyous, stay alert. If you hear metal in the dark, don't wait to see what's pulling it. Now something from the Gulf. We received confirmation from a fisherman near Grand Isle, Louisiana. Said he saw something at the edge of the oil platforms, just off the coast. Floodlights, military boats, activity. He said it looked like they were unloading, equipment, maybe personnel. He tried to raise them on Channel 16. No response. They weren't broadcasting distress. They weren't acknowledging calls. They were just there. That's the second confirmed report of offshore staging in the last 48 hours. The other came from Freeport, Texas. It's possible they're building something out there, or hiding something. Either way, it's not for our safety. So if you're still near the coast, don't assume water means freedom. Sometimes the sea just hides the deeper chains. Shifting inland, reports out of Nashville say the city has been partially evacuated, but no one knows where the evacuees were taken. One listener, broadcasting from a mile outside the perimeter, said he saw buses roll in. School buses, city shuttles, even private charters. No windows, no markings. 2 hours later, the buses rolled out. Empty. He said it didn't make sense. Dozens of vehicles, no passengers visible, no signs of damage, just motion. I asked him if he tried to follow. He said he did. Got as far as a gas station near Brentwood before a roadblock turned him around. 2 people standing in front of a black SUV. No vests, no weapons visible, just earpieces and tablets. He said they didn't threaten him, didn't even speak. They just stared. Sometimes silence is louder than a warning. Now let's go to something smaller, closer to the ground. A woman from northern Pennsylvania sent us a voice clip, recorded on a cheap tape deck she found in her father's attic. She didn't say much, just her name, Maria. Said she hadn't heard another person's voice in 5 days. Said she'd started talking to her plants just to remember how. She ended the message with something that's been playing in my head all night. If the world comes back, I want to still be someone worth talking to. That's what this broadcast is, isn't it? Just a long conversation between people refusing to vanish. You and me, Maria and her plants. The kid in the shelter under the university steps, tapping Morse code to a wall that may never answer back. We talk because we still believe someone's listening. That's what separates us from the silence. Not weapons, not power, words. and I'll keep sending them as long as I can. Now, some brief logistics. If you're trying to avoid checkpoints, stay away from intersections with more than 4 lanes. Avoid overpasses. They're being used to tag thermal signatures from above. Walk during rainfall if possible. Water reduces drone imaging resolution by 60%. Move through utility corridors, fenced zones near power lines, water routes, or rail yards. They're still largely unmonitored. And if you're caught, don't lie. Say less, not more. Don't invent a story. Say you're moving to reconnect with family. That's often enough to keep them from digging deeper. They don't want your story. They want your submission. Don't give them either. Now I'll end this cycle with something simple. A mother and son in rural Nebraska wrote to me. They didn't ask for help, didn't complain. They just sent a photo, a drawing really. Crayon on cardboard. It showed a small house, a candle in the window, and a bird flying overhead. On the back, she'd written, "This is how we see the world now. Small, quiet, alive. Let that be enough. Let it be your compass tonight. You don't have to change everything. You just have to stay alive. One voice at a time. This is Jordan Hale. Still out here. Still watching The Wire. Still hoping you are too." Jordan Hale back on the line. Still running on backup power. Still sending signal. Still hoping that wherever you are, whatever time it is, you hear this and remember that you're not the only one left. Let's get to it. Detroit is shifting. I've received 5 separate messages in the last 12 hours. All of them different voices, different neighborhoods, but the same core report. The city is being emptied. Not razed, not shelled, emptied. They're not dragging people out. They're not forcing anyone onto buses like they did down south. It's more subtle than that. Stores close without notice. Power flickers out block by block. Postal carriers vanish. Ambulances stop running. Then, little by little, the people leave or disappear. The message from Hamtramck said it best. It's like someone is folding the edges of the city inward, like the map is closing. Another from Dearborn mentioned signs, new ones, not government-issued, not even official-looking, just boards with symbols painted on them. Simple shapes, a triangle inside a square, a circle with a slash, always near roads that used to be open. Nobody knows what they mean, but everyone started avoiding them. That's how language starts, isn't it? In silence, in fear, in survival. So if you're near Detroit, don't wait for an evacuation order. Don't wait for the lights to go out. Watch for the shapes. Watch for the empty shelves. Watch for the quiet. That's how you know it's time to go. Now a brief report from Idaho. We've confirmed the closure of the main roads surrounding Boise, not with barricades, with weather. It's not natural, not this time of year, not this sudden. One driver reported a sudden drop, 20 degrees in 2 hours, black ice where there had been none, fog that didn't lift. Another said they saw trucks spraying something at dawn, no markings on the tanks, no crews visible, just a truck, a hose, and mist. That's not weather, that's cover. Which means someone's moving out there, and they don't want to be seen. If you're in the Northwest, be cautious of shifts in temperature and visibility. Check tree lines. If frost appears where it shouldn't, move. We're not just fighting surveillance, we're fighting manufactured blindness. Now to the human side of the map. I got a message from someone living in an old fire lookout tower. Oregon, near the coast. He didn't give a name, just said, "I used to climb this tower to look for smoke. Now I watch for movement. I write down when I see people, what direction they go, what they carry. I don't know them, but I write it all down anyway. Someone has to." That hit hard, because that's what survival really is, isn't it? Not just food and water and shelter. It's memory. Keeping track of what the world is doing so that someday, someone else knows we were here. If you've been doing that too, writing, sketching, logging, recording, it matters. Even if no one sees it yet, it matters. Let's pause for a moment and talk about safety. If you're sheltering in a residential area and you've been hearing consistent low-frequency hums, you're near a mobile relay tower. These aren't cell towers. They're sensor nets. They read movement. They register vibrations, footsteps, voice patterns. You won't see them. They're deployed low to the ground, often masked under debris or inside fake utility boxes. How do you know you're near one? Lights flicker when you walk past certain windows. Radios cut out when you speak above a whisper. Animals won't go near specific corners of a room. If that's happening, move, change floors, reroute wiring, pull curtains with metal threads, anything to distort the pattern. They're listening in more ways than one. I don't say this to scare you. I say it because someone has to. And I'm not done yet. Quick update from Appalachia. A long-haul hiker reached us with this. Somewhere in the Smokies, a group has started leaving trail markers again. Old school ones. Stones in the shape of arrows. 3 lines carved into tree bark. He said it felt like a breadcrumb trail. Said the paths don't lead to food or shelter, at least not directly. They lead to silence, to safety, places where no drones fly, where no patrols move, where even the birds have returned. He called them quiet pockets. So if you're out there, walking the high trails, watch for the signs. And if you find one of those places, don't light a fire, don't mark it loudly, don't stay long, but leave something small, a signal, so the next person knows it wasn't just a myth. This is how we make a map again, not the ones printed and bound, the ones passed by hand. Now before I cycle the battery down, one last voice. A kid from Colorado sent in a message this afternoon. Didn't say how old he was, didn't say where exactly. Just this. I asked my dad what we do now. He said, "We wait for the world to remember us." I said, "What if it doesn't?" He said, "Then we build one that does." That's it. That's all of it. The reason I'm still broadcasting. The reason you're still listening. We're not waiting to be saved. We're making something that can survive what's coming next. One whisper at a time. This is Jordan Hale, holding the line until you pick it up. I'll be back. Jordan Hale again. If you're still with me, you already know. We're beyond the moment now, past the point where this could be walked back. The switch has been flipped, not just in the streets, but in people's heads. And that's what tonight's stories are about. Not the fences, not the drones, the shift. What happens when people start rewriting the rules because they're too scared to remember the old ones? Let's start in Iowa. Des Moines isn't under full lockdown, not yet. But something's happening on the western edge. 2 separate messages, hours apart. One from a local grocer, another from a nurse on foot. They say neighborhood watch groups are turning into gatekeepers. Used to be, folks were just banding together to patrol streets, block looters, keep things civil. Now, they've got uniforms. Not military, not official, just matching jackets, armbands, even insignias painted onto garage doors. They're using scanners, homemade badges, and they're deciding who gets to pass through, which homes are secure, which ones get cut off from supply drops. The grocer said he was told to shut down unless he registered with the new group. He asked what that meant. They said, "You give us your list, and we decide how to divide it." He locked his doors and hasn't opened since. That's how it starts. Not with tanks. With neighbors deciding your name doesn't mean what it used to. So if you're still in a town where things feel normal, where you're tempted to think it won't happen there, keep your eyes open. Watch who starts organizing. Watch who starts calling themselves things. And most of all, watch who they say doesn't belong. Because once they say it about one person, they'll say it about more. Switching coasts. Portland has gone gray. Not dark, just muted. No sound, no movement, no visible enforcement. Just an eerie stillness, like a stage waiting for the next act to begin. A woman staying in an old bookstore downtown sent a message that stopped me cold. She said the traffic lights still cycle, the street lights still hum, but no one moves beneath them. Not a single car, not even bikes. Just the flickering illusion of a system still running. And here's the part I can't stop thinking about. She said at exactly 9:23 each night, the crosswalk signal chirps, the little tone for the blind, a synthetic bird call. But when it does, every light in the district turns green. All at once, no vehicles, no pedestrians, just green lights in every direction. And then they turn red again. It happens once, same time, every night. No one knows why. She said the first time it happened, she clapped, just out of instinct, because she was so used to seeing something move. But nothing did, so she stopped clapping. Now she just listens and writes it down. That's the new language now. Not sentences, not signs, patterns. If you notice one, mark it, share it. Even if it doesn't make sense yet, it might save someone else when it does. Let's take a minute to check in with one of the things we can control. Water. A small farming town in Arkansas, can't give the name, sent in a blueprint. They built a system using rain barrels, fire hoses, charcoal, sand, and 2 sheets of corrugated steel. It's crude, but it works. They're pulling clean water for 20 people from nothing but runoff and condensation. They're not engineers, not survivalists, just 3 families that stopped waiting for a fix. They said the key wasn't building it was building it together. They rotate duty. No one draws more than anyone else, and no one drinks alone. That's how they put it. No one drinks alone. If you take anything from this hour, let it be that. Now, a moment of quiet before I pass along one final message. Someone in Pennsylvania left me a voice drop. Didn't say where, didn't say who, just said, I keep thinking about the things I miss. Not the big stuff, not holidays or crowds or flights, just the sound of chairs scraping on a diner floor, the clink of ice in a glass you didn't pour, the sound of the door when someone walks in, and you don't flinch. That hit harder than it should have, because that's what we're really holding on to now. Not the system, not the politics, just the ordinary moments. The ones that felt like nothing right up until they were gone. You can't fight for those in the streets. You can only remember them. So remember hard. And when this turns again, because it always does, make sure those are the things we rebuild first. The scraped chairs, the doorbell, the conversations no one records. I'll be back on the next cycle. Coil's starting to heat up. Need to cool the board. But I'm still here. And so are you. This is Jordan Hale. Keep your breath. Keep your fire. Keep your story. You're still tuned in. That's all it takes right now. One working ear. One working signal. One person choosing to stay awake while the rest of the world gets quieter. This is Jordan Hale. We've just passed the 4-day mark since the declaration. Feels longer, doesn't it? Like time itself got stretched. Like the hours don't fit right anymore. You're not imagining it. When you take away routine, clocks become decoration. You stop measuring time in minutes and start measuring it in movements. How long since the last convoy passed? How long since your last full breath? How long since someone said your name? Let's start tonight with the cities that aren't showing up anymore. Cleveland, Memphis, Albuquerque, Fresno, not shut down, just quiet. No messages, no pings, no new signals. Every attempt to reach known operators has failed. One of our contacts, former ham relay runner from outside Albuquerque, left a note we only just received. The signal was buried under 4 layers of noise, but we managed to clean it. All it said was, "We didn't lose power. We lost permission." I don't know what he meant, but I haven't stopped thinking about it. Because if someone can silence a city without a single strike, a single scream, what else can they turn off? And how long before they try it everywhere? Now to something personal. I want to talk about loss, not the big kind, not the headlines, the small ones, the little things we're giving up without even realizing it. I used to keep a mug next to the console. Green enamel, chipped on one side, always warm, always within reach. Broke it 2 nights ago. Didn't even drop it. Just cracked from the heat, cycling over and over. I caught myself staring at the pieces for half an hour. Not because I needed the mug, because I needed what it meant. Stability, familiarity, a piece of the world that made sense. So if you've lost something small, an old shirt, a pair of shoes, a book that reminded you who you were, grieve it. It's not silly. It's memory. And memory is the only thing they can't rewrite. Let's shift west for a second. We've had new updates out of Nevada. Reno's commercial core has been converted. No one's sure into what. All we know is that movement in and out has stopped. Not by force, by disuse. Like the city was paused. One man, a courier with a solar-powered e-bike, said he tried to deliver a care package, just medicine and dry goods, to a known address. He found the door open, lights on, but the house was empty. He checked 5 other homes on the block. Same story. Doors open, lights on, nobody home. No signs of panic, no mess, not even a plate out of place, just absence. He turned around and rode straight out. Said the quiet was thicker than the heat. Said it felt like walking into the memory of a town that didn't know it had ended. So if you're near a place that feels empty, trust your senses. It's not always about noise. Sometimes it's about the weight in the air. And if it feels wrong, it probably is. Now something you can do. If you've got a manual water source, Well, rain barrel, spring. Make sure it's covered at night. We're starting to get reports of targeted contamination. Not mass poisoning. Something quieter. One group said their water started tasting metallic. Not foul. Not dirty. Just off. They filtered it, boiled it. Still off. They had it tested, an old field kit from a mine surveyor, and it showed trace metals, enough to disrupt, not enough to kill. Someone is testing how long it takes us to notice. So cover your sources. Use charcoal filters. Make 2 batches if you have to. Taste test separately. Don't assume. Survival isn't just about what you can build, it's about what you can detect before it's too late. Quick update before I close this cycle. A listener from Montana, just south of Flathead Lake, said she's been hearing distant music, not from a house, not from a car, from the trees. Same tune every night, just after dusk. No lyrics, just piano. She followed it once, got as far as the tree line, said it stopped when she stepped off the gravel. When she backed away, it started again. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's someone sending a signal or something more sinister. But I do know this. Not every light in the dark is safe. Not every melody is a welcome. So listen carefully and trust the silence when it tells you something's wrong. That's all for now. I'll be back in the next cycle. Tower's warming up again. Until then, you are still here. You are still thinking. You are still more than they expected you to be. This is Jordan Hale. Stay moving, stay sharp, stay human. Still Jordan, still here, still transmitting from somewhere that hasn't burned, blacked out, or gone too quiet to trust. And if your voice is still working, if your thoughts are still your own, that makes 2 of us. Let's start with Texas. San Antonio's gone silent, not like other cities have. Not cold, not blocked, not walled, wiped. No pings, no rebroadcasts, no dead air, just absence. I know that sounds impossible, but I've had 3 different relay listeners from as far as Laredo say the same thing. I can't even tell where it used to be. One described it as looking out over where the light should be and seeing nothing, not darkness, just a blank. And here's where it gets worse. Someone hiking out of hill country toward New Braunfels said the roads are being covered, not barricaded, buried. Miles of dirt pushed over highways, shoulder to shoulder. Bulldozers cutting through the old asphalt, making it impossible to trace what direction anything leads anymore. It's not about blocking access. It's about erasing memory. Making the land forget where people used to live. So if you're anywhere near that part of Texas, take photos, draw maps, mark trees, leave records. They're not just trying to control us. They're trying to make it so we never existed in the first place. Now east, we've got a pattern showing up in Georgia. Multiple people from the outskirts of Atlanta are reporting what they're calling static fields. They're not talking about radio. They mean air. Standing outside certain buildings, schools, post offices, even a few abandoned shopping centers, feels like standing in an active field of interference. Your skin prickles, your hair lifts, electronics buzz, even metal keys vibrate in your pocket. And if you step inside, nothing. No signal, no voice, no echo. It's like the space swallows up sound. One man said he walked into a gymnasium and heard his footsteps stop halfway across the floor. Not echo, just vanish. He turned around, didn't even make it to the exit, threw up, ran out. Said the silence wasn't empty, it was full. I don't know what tech they're using, but it's not civilian, and it's not for communication. It's for containment. So if you feel the air shift, if it tingles, if it buzzes, if it hums without a sound, get out. Whatever's there wasn't built to hold sound. It was built to hold you. Switching gears. We got a handwritten message dropped off at one of our static nodes out west. Don't know who left it. No name. Just a folded piece of paper and a matchbox wedged into a rusted mailbox that's been dead for years. It read, "We don't need to be rescued. We need to be remembered. If they erase the map, draw it again with bones and blood and broken glass. Let them know we didn't go quietly." I don't know who wrote it, but I know what they meant. Because rescue? It's a nice idea, but for most of us, it's not coming. What we can do, what we are doing, is holding the thread, so that if someone out there ever asks, what happened to all those people, we'll be able to answer. Not with a headline, with a name, a story, a voice. Now a quick practical update. We've confirmed safe food stores still holding in 3 regions. A rural distribution center east of Missoula, Montana, hidden under a false signage site labeled Maintenance Depot. No guards, no cameras. Locals say the back wall can be pried open with a crowbar. A dry goods reserve tucked beneath an abandoned church basement in Jackson, Mississippi. Watch for red tape over the doorway. If it's there, it's already been cleared. If not, supplies remain. And a stash in an old elementary school in Kansas, just off Route 24. Check lockers in the main hallway, sealed with wax and string. Those were hidden for kids before things went dark. Still edible, still sealed. Take only what you need. Leave something behind if you can. Even a note, even a memory. Now I want to read a message from someone calling herself Lane. She didn't say where she was, just left this in the log feed. Every morning I boil water. I don't need to. I have tablets. I have filters. But I boil it anyway because it makes me feel like something in this world still listens to fire. That's the kind of logic I can live with. Because survival isn't about efficiency. It's about meaning. If you have a ritual, keep it. If you used to tie your boots a certain way, do it now. If you always checked the stove twice before you left the house, keep doing it. Those things, they were never about fear. They were about order. Your order. A world you chose. And they can't take that unless you let them. Before I cycle down, we've had one confirmed reactivation of a lighthouse in Rhode Island. No signal, no distress. Just light, slow, consistent. White flash every 10 seconds. Someone's up there. Someone wants you to know. If you're near the coast, and I mean anywhere in the Northeast, look for it. If you see it, don't respond with light. Respond with presence. Stand in the beam. Raise something reflective. Let them know they're not alone. That's how we'll rebuild this thing. Not from the inside out. From the edges inward. One small fire. One quiet person. One tower at a time. I'll check back after a reset. This is Jordan Hale, still breathing, still burning, still yours. Jordan again, still running this signal off stubbornness and static, still passing voices hand to hand in the dark. If you've made it this far, it means your light hasn't gone out either. Keep it that way. Tonight I want to start with something that came in from Tennessee. A small town outside Chattanooga, name redacted for safety, has been holding their own. Not through firepower, not through walls, through rhythm. They set up a rotation, 3 groups of 6 moving in 12-hour cycles. 1 for lookout, 1 for sleep, 1 for scavenging and repairs. Every time a shift ends, they ring a bell. Not loud, not public. Just a handbell, the kind you'd find in an old school or church. They ring it once for the next team. It's not about efficiency, it's about certainty. They said hearing that bell, especially at night, reminds them they're still part of something, that someone is always awake, that nothing is happening in the dark that won't be answered in the light. You want to know what survival looks like? That's it. Not the big heroic gestures, just the quiet sound of someone saying, "You're not alone." Let's go west. Denver's outer ring has fully collapsed into silence. No patrols, no curfews, no official broadcasts. That sounds good on the surface. But silence isn't always peace. A listener from Aurora said there's a pattern showing up on the overpasses. Black paint dripping from street signs, not letters, just a mark, one wide X, upside down, slashed through with a curve. Every time one shows up, the block beneath it is abandoned by morning. We don't know who's painting them, or why, but we know what follows. People leave, not in panic, in quiet. And those who stay? They stop responding. No one's found a body, no signs of struggle. Just houses left with half-eaten meals, still warm beds, and no trace of the people who filled them. If you see that mark, don't wait to figure it out. Don't try to be the one who solves the pattern. Just go. Now north. A young woman from Minnesota sent a short message. Just one sentence, no punctuation. My town turned off its own lights. Not the government, not an attack. Themselves, they made a choice. Cut the grid, pulled batteries, boarded windows, covered car mirrors. They call it the still. They don't speak above a whisper. They don't use names outside. They say stillness is survival. And you know what? They might be right, because movement means heat. Heat means signal. Signal means detection. So if your world's getting louder, if trucks are showing up, if drones are circling, ask yourself what you need more: comfort or cover? Sometimes safety looks like a whisper that no one else hears. Back to the coast for a second. A mechanic in Oakland sent us something rare, a schematic. They've figured out how to reroute car batteries through old inverter boxes to power short-range radio and UV light strips without kicking up thermal signatures. It's not perfect. It won't last forever. But it works for about 6 hours, enough to run a night shift, charge a few handhelds, maybe power a low-beam perimeter. If you're mechanically inclined, check your fuses. Look for anything marked inverter, ballast, or regulator. Salvage what you can. We're not in the era of convenience anymore. We're in the age of useful. Use what works. Forget what doesn't. Let go of aesthetics. Focus on output. If you can turn junk into light, do it. You don't owe anyone sleek or polished. You owe yourself one more night with eyes open. A quick story before the next battery swap. 2 sisters in Kentucky wrote a letter. Real paper, folded tight, edges torn, smelled like wood smoke. They said they've been sleeping in the back of a nursery. Plants, not kids. They take turns watering the flowers during the day. Not because they need to, because the flowers are still blooming. Because color is rare now. and they want to protect it. They sign the note with a drawing, a daisy in one corner, a match in the other. That's what we're holding right now, isn't it? The line between beauty and destruction, and the tiny choices that keep one from becoming the other. So if you've got something green, something growing, protect it. Not because it feeds you, because it reminds you. We didn't always live like this, and we won't always live like this. Final note for this cycle. We've confirmed movement along the old rail corridor stretching between Kansas City and St. Louis. Not trains, not trucks, people, groups of 5 or 6, on foot, moving in waves. None of them carrying signs, none of them broadcasting, but they're all moving the same direction, east. No one knows why. But here's the message one of them left, scratched into the side of an old grain silo. We heard something waiting, not a person, a place. If you're nearby, watch the path. Don't interrupt, but if you feel pulled, don't ignore it either. Sometimes the only thing louder than fear is hope. I'll be back. This is Jordan Hale. Keep the fire inside. Keep the door locked. Keep the thread in your hand. We're not done yet. Still breathing, still sending, still Jordan. The relay's warm, but steady. Coils holding for now. You hear enough of these signals, you start to notice what doesn't break. Not just the gear, people too. The ones who bend early, they crack, fast, loud. The ones who stay rigid too long, they snap like frozen branches. But the ones who adapt, quietly, slowly, without fanfare, they last. Tonight's stories are about them. Let's start in Illinois. We've had confirmation from a farming commune outside Bloomington. No signal until now. Turns out they've been radio silent on purpose. No pings, no check-ins, no contact. Not because they were in trouble, because they were thriving. 12 families, split labor, shared stores, seed banks. They cut all comms the night martial law hit. Ground rules were simple. No one leaves without vote. No signals unless urgent. No decisions made by fear. And it worked. They're still eating, still rotating watches, still keeping a book of events by hand, marked with charcoal and rust-rubbed numbers on the page. I asked them why they finally reached out. They said, "We wanted someone to know we existed before the snow comes. So now we do. And now you do." There are people out there who didn't fold, didn't run, just remained, deliberately. You can do the same. Heading south. Reports from Baton Rouge say the levees are being reinforced, but not with sandbags. Steel, concrete, no city markings, no official labels, no press, just trucks, crane, barriers rising every day like a second wall around the old one. One man, a diver, used to working on the pipeline rigs, said he watched one of these new barriers from the water, got close enough to see a keypad hidden under a panel, lights blinking red. When he surfaced, there was a drone waiting. No words, no warning, just hovered. Watched him leave. He hasn't gone back since. So if you're near Baton Rouge, don't assume the water's an escape. Someone is building something beneath it. And if they're guarding it this closely, it's not to protect you. It's to hide what they're doing. Moving east, South Carolina. One message came in this morning that chilled me. A woman, early 30s, alone, said she was the last one left in her apartment complex, Everyone else either evacuated or vanished. She stayed behind because her brother was missing. Said she'd leave if he didn't return by nightfall. That was 4 nights ago. She's still there. Every night she lights one candle in the window. Same one. Same hour. Just long enough for him to see it, if he's nearby. Then she blows it out and waits in silence. That's the definition of hope right now. Not fireworks, not banners. One small flame you keep lighting for someone who might never come. And you do it anyway, because they would have done it for you. Let's talk about the Midwest. Reports from Kansas are shifting. It's not just the cities anymore. The silence is spreading. No longer confined to towns or bases. Now it's in the fields. One farmer, miles from any known lockdown zone, said he started hearing a soft clicking at night. Not mechanical, not animal, just this steady rhythm. He followed it once. Took him to the edge of his corn rows, and there, half buried in dirt, was a dish. Metal, clean, warm. It wasn't there the day before. He tried to move it, wouldn't budge. By morning, it was gone. But the clicking was louder. If you hear it, don't follow. Just mark the time. Distance yourself. Silence that moves is silence with a purpose. Let's pull back for a second. A woman in Arizona left a note in one of our relay drops, scribbled in ink on the back of a cereal box. It read, "Every time I speak, I think about the last thing I said to my father before the towers went out. I wish it was something better. But maybe it's not about the words. Maybe it's about still being someone worth talking to, even now." I don't know her name, but I know she's right. We can't change what we said. We can't undo the silences. But we can make sure that when this ends, when someone reaches across the static and asks what we held on to, we've got an answer. We stayed human, even when everything else said not to. Closing this hour with one more update. We've confirmed sightings of tethered balloons over Atlanta. Not weather balloons. High tension, low float rigs, suspended nets, hanging sensors, motion activated strobes. They're not broadcasting. They're absorbing. What? We don't know yet, but the pattern's repeating in other cities. Richmond, Nashville, Albuquerque. If you see one, don't move under it. Don't flash light. Don't speak. These things are passive until they're not. We don't know how they react when provoked, and we don't want to learn the hard way. I'm signing off for this cycle. Relay needs a purge. Air's getting heavy around the caps. But I'll be back, because you're still out there, and I need to hear from you. One word, one note, one breath. This is Jordan Hale. We aren't ghosts. We aren't shadows. We're still here. And the story isn't over yet.